All right, chapter 4 is on probability. So, probabilities are numbers used to explain how likely something is to happen. So let's work through a quick example here. So let's say there are 5 marbles in a bag. 4 are blue and 1 is red. If you draw a marble from the bag, what's the probability that the marble is red? Well, there is 1 red marble. There are 5 total marbles. So the probability of grabbing a red marble is 1 in 5, 1/5. You could also write that as a decimal, 0.2. You could convert that decimal to a percentage if you want and write 20%. These are all different ways of writing the same thing. These would all be acceptable answers. So the probability of grabbing a red marble is 0.2. All right. What's the probability that the marble is blue? Well, 4 of the marbles are blue out of 5 total. So probability will be 4/5, or 4 in 5. All right. You can convert that to a decimal, give your answer as 0.8, or you could say 80%. So that'll be correct answers. Now I say, well, what's the probability that the marble is yellow? Well, there aren't any yellow marbles in the bag. That's impossible. So the probability of getting a yellow marble is 0. Or if you want, you could write 0% chance of getting a yellow marble. And I say, well, what's the probability that you select a spherical object from the bag? Well, all of the marbles in the bags are spheres. If you draw a marble from a bag, you are guaranteed that it is going to be a spherical object. So you're guaranteed to draw a spherical object from the bag. So there is a 100% chance of getting a spherical object from the bag. Or you could write that as a probability of 1, or you could say it's 5/5. However you want to write it is fine. Now this example teaches us the following facts about probabilities. So probabilities, they're numbers that are always between 0 and 1. A probability of 0 means that it is impossible for an event to happen. A probability of 1 means that the event is guaranteed to happen. And when working with probabilities, we will use the following terms. So, an event. An event is any collection of results or outcomes of a procedure. A simple event is an outcome or an event that cannot be further broken down into simpler components. So this will make a lot more sense once we have an example. Sample space consists of all possible simple events. All right. So let's say a couple plans to have 3 children. I say find all the possible simple events. In other words, find the sample space. I will often describe this as list all possible outcomes. So what are all the things that could happen if a couple decides to have 3 children? Well, all right, so if they have a kid, their first kid could either be a boy or it could be a girl. Now, if they have another kid, well, let's say they had a boy as their first kid. If they have another kid, well, they might have another boy. So they'd have a boy followed by a boy. Or they might have a girl, so they could have a boy followed by a girl. Now, if they have a girl on their first kid, well, their second kid could be a boy, so they could have girl followed by boy. Or they could have girl followed by girl. Now for their third kid, well, if they had 2 boys, their third kid could be yet another boy. So you'd have boy, boy, boy. Or their third kid could be a girl. So you'd have boy, boy, girl. Similarly over here, if you start with a boy and then have a girl, you could have another boy. Or you could have another girl. And if you start with a girl, then have a boy, well, you could have another boy. So you have girl, boy, boy. Or you could have another girl. Girl, boy, girl. All right, lastly, if you have a third kid down here, if you start with 2 girls, you could have a boy, girl, girl, boy. Or you could have another girl. Girl, girl, girl. So these are the only 8 things that could happen. So we have found the sample space. Each of these is a simple event. And this is the sample space.